Welcome back to Wolf Guitars and Gear. Today I'm going to take you on a quick tour of my pedal board to show you kind of what I have, and that'll kind of lay the groundwork for another episode that I've got coming. So a couple other thoughts as we're going to begin to look at these pedals. One thing to keep in mind is that I've been playing since I was 13. I'm now 42, so while there's a lot of pedals here, I don't want that to be discouraging to you, somebody who's just starting out who maybe doesn't have a huge budget. I know that not everyone has a lot of money to put towards their gear, and that's okay. We don't all have a ton of money, but even with the small budgets that you do have, there's probably a lot more room to work with it than what you think. And if you have the proper goals and you have a focus, you can have the gear that you really want. Take this as an example. If you went to a fast food drive-through 5 days a week during your work week and you spent $5 on a value meal, which is extremely easy to spend that much or more, if you took that, that's $25 a week. If you took that $25 a week across 4 weeks in a month, that's $100. You took that for 4 months straight, that's $400. Guess what? You just bought yourself a Strymon Timeline or a Strymon Big Sky. You could have those really nice pedals that you've always wanted. It just takes a little bit of discipline and setting aside that money instead of going and spending on what's easy. And maybe instead of doing that, maybe you went and you bought yourself a loaf of bread and some lunch meat and you brought your own sandwich and saved yourself some money there to create that gear budget that you need to get the things that you really want. That's some of the things that I've had to do over the years to get some of the things that I want, because I'm not made of money either. I'm just an average guy like the rest of you guys. I don't have any sponsorships. I don't have any companies sending me pedals. This is all stuff that I've gotten on my own over the years. Like I said, I've been playing for close to 30 years now, so keep in mind that a lot of this is collected over time and not something that was just ran out and bought in a weekend. So here is my hot mess of a pedal board in my extremely messy music room. So to start off the signal chain, we'll start off right here. And this right here is the Love Pedal Bone Tender Fuzz Pedal. This is probably one of my favorite fuzz pedals of all time. And I would recommend this pedal if you are not into fuzz at all. This is a fantastic one to start with because it gives you a really nice fuzz sound, and it also cleans up extremely well with the volume knob on your guitar to where you can get some beautiful cleans out of it. And as you're in that range on that volume knob between full-on fuzz and clean, there's a ton of great overdrive sounds. So really, honestly, with just this one pedal right here, you could really handle the majority of dirt sounds that you would ever need. Absolutely fantastic pedal. Can't recommend it enough. Next in line, I've got the Thorpy Veteran, and this one is a very cool effect because on this side we have a modified fuzz face where you've got your volume, you got your fuzz. This right here is what he calls a smooth knob. It kind of affects the low end EQ on it. And then this is a bias knob. This side here with this foot switch is a treble booster. So you've got a boost knob and you've got the range, which kind of sets the frequency that's being boosted. Extremely useful. Again, this pedal alone could cover the majority of anything you would ever need. Anything from full-on fuzz through a transparent overdrive is achievable between those two effects right there and the volume knob on your guitar. Out of the Veteran, I'm running into the green Russian reissue Big Muff. I love that pedal. It was the first fuzz pedal that I ever bought, and I find it to be just extremely useful for like that really high gain, really sustainy type sound. It's just fantastic for that. And then I'm running out of that into another Muff style fuzz, which is the special edition Ghoul from Matthews Effects. And this is a op amp fuzz. What's really cool about this is that, as you can see, it has a 3-band EQ, and then that frequency knob in the middle on top there kind of gives you the ability to change which frequency the mid knob there is applied to. This is a big help because a big complaint that a lot of people have about the big muff fuzzes is that they're mid-scooped and they get lost in a mix. Well, this is a very easy way to fix that. You can control every aspect of the EQ on it, and it just simply sounds sputtery and fantastic. It's just awesome. I'm going to do episodes on most of these pedals later, but just giving you a quick overview. So from there, I'm running into the input on the noise suppressor. Now, the noise suppressor is kind of a hidden secret to this whole thing. And like I said, I've got wires running everywhere. This is just a hot mess. I apologize for that. The noise suppressor is a pedal I've had for a long time. I bought the noise suppressor back, I want to say, in 2003, 2004, something like that. I was playing in a heavy metal band at the time, and just putting this in front of my Mesa, I was able to run really loud, really high gain, but when I wasn't playing, dead silent. And so I'm just using the 4-cable method here. So I ran all my fuzzes into the input, and then out of the output, I'm running directly into my compressor, which is the TC Electronic Force Field Compressor. And as you can tell from the settings there, it's set extremely squishy with a slight boost on it. Extremely cheap pedal, but it does the job really well, and I enjoy it. Again, like I said, there'll be more on this to come. Next in line here, I've got a high wind amplification Dire Wolf, which is a modification that he's done to the TS-808 circuit. And this is probably the most flexible tube screamer that's out there. And it can do anything that you want to do with it, whether you're trying to do kind of that Stevie Ray Vaughan tube screamer thing, whether you're trying to use it in a high gain application to tighten up a very high gain amp. You know, whatever application you're looking to use that tube screamer for, this thing can do it. If you just want a clean boost, if you could even turn this thing into a fuzz. It's just crazy. So you've got your level, you've got your drive, your tone, which are on all tube screamers you have, but you also have this blend knob, which is really, really cool. And then you've got your bite, which is for high end. You've got growl, which is a 3-way position to affect your low end. You've got 3 different clipping modes, and you've got a boost that you can switch on as well. So like I said, completely flexible, awesome pedal. Next, I have the Maelstrom Overdrive, also from High Wind Amplification, and this is based on the Friedman BEOD. I think it sounds better. I've played the Friedman pedal in a store after owning this for over a year, and I like my pedal better. It just sounds better to my ear. So it has all the classic things there. You've got your 2-band Baxandall EQ, you've got a presence knob, your volume, your gain, and then the tight, which kind of tightens up the low end. But it also, in addition to messing with the EQ, it also, I think, impacts your gain a little bit as you're using it. At least I can notice a difference with it. There's also an internal knob in there, a trim pot for the overall gain of the pedal. I've just left that alone because it's great right where it's at. That's a fantastic sound if you're looking for a modern Marshall gain tone. I can't recommend that pedal enough. Next in line, I've got this right here, which was my first experience with high wind amplification. And this is a custom pedal that Jordan put together for me. The blue side there is a blues breaker, and this thing is just absolutely fantastic. You've got your volume, gain, tone. You've got a 3-way position that affects the high end, 2 different modes of cutting or just straight up, and then you've got 3 different clipping modes. Just sounds fantastic. I mean, it's hard to get a bad sound out of it, but this little high-end cut knob, or sorry, high-end cut switch there is super important because that will help you tame that high end on that pedal, which can be overpowering if you're not using that. And then this side is a claw-on clone. And so you also have an order switch, so you can put the claw-on into the blues breaker or the blues breaker into the claw-on. And that pedal alone would handle most of the dirt that I ever need. So fantastic pedal. I don't think that thing is ever going to leave my board. As long as it's functional, it's going to be on there. I don't know that I'd want to be without it. Next in line, I've got the Vintage Modern, again from Love Pedal. This thing is, again, it's a fantastic thing. It's a very Marshall flavored pedal. It's a dual drive. And what we have here, the vintage side is a modified Church of Tone 50. You've got a level and a drive knob. Now, it says drive, but it's not really, doesn't really affect your drive level. It's really more of a bias knob. And so it just kind of affects more the character of it rather than anything. And then the level's obviously just a level. And this is more of a boost then that runs into the modern side, which is the purple plexi. And that is just fantastic. Gives you kind of more up into the JCM 800 style of a thing, but together, high gain Marshall sounds fantastic. And this pedal right here, the Sweet Honey Overdrive, is the first overdrive pedal that I ever bought. I was not a fan of my overdrive sounds coming from a pedal. When I bought this, I was very much a tube amp guy and had very strong feelings that you would never have a pedal that sounds as good as a tube amp. And then I ran into this pedal, and that opened my eyes to the possibility of what a pedal could sound like. Up to that point, the only things I'd really heard was, you know, the typical tube screamer or the Boss overdrives, which they're fine, but this has something really, really special. And so I think that that's, you know, a pedal that to me is extremely special. It just sounds amazing. It's extremely touch sensitive. It's amazing. It doesn't get enough love among pedal people, and I don't understand why. So if you ever get an opportunity to play one or to buy one, do it. You will definitely not regret it. So next I have a K-Line Pure Sky, and this is somewhat loosely based upon the Paul Cochran Timmy. And again, I'm going to be doing an episode on this one in the very near future because this pedal is just an all-star. It's just amazing. You've got your volume, you've got your gain, and then you have a treble and a bass knob. They don't work the same way as on the Timmy. Instead of being cut only, they're boost and cut, and so it does sound a little bit different, and it doesn't have the 3-position clipping toggle that the Timmy has. So there is some differences in sound, but still a fantastic overdrive pedal and absolutely unbeatable for the price. Next, we have another Love pedal, and this is the Box of Awesome. And as you can see, I have a problem. I'm a little bit of a dual pedal freak, and this is yet another dual overdrive pedal. And as the name implies, it is in fact awesome. So we have on this side a amp 11, sorry, not an amp 11, an OD11. And basically OD11 from Love Pedal is another Timmy variant. As you can see, you've got your volume, your gain, and your 2 treble knobs. I mean, your treble and a bass knob. In fact, this one is so close to the Timmy that I believe there's actually an ongoing lawsuit regarding that. I know that at the very least on some of the pedal forums and stuff that I'm a part of, Paul Cochran has had some very not nice things to say about Shawn Michael from Love Pedal because of the similarity of design. I'm not here to embroil myself in any controversy there. I think both are fantastic pedal makers. I think they have their own unique designs, and they both have their own place. I didn't even know that was the fact when I bought this pedal, so that had no bearing on this. I just was interested in what Love Pedal was doing, and the fact that it was a dual drive pedal at a really reasonable price is what drew me to it. Now, the other side here is a Love Pedal original design, which is a Kalamazoo, and that was one of his foundational overdrive pedals that he came up with that really kind of put him on the map, along with the Church of Tone. So you've got the tone, the gain, the glass knob, which is kind of somewhat of a treble boost, and a volume. And then again, you have an order switch to choose which one goes first in the pedal chain there. They stack really well. Essentially, that Kalamazoo sounds like a much higher gain version of the Timmy. So fantastic. They pair up really, really well. Love that pedal. This one here is the Green Bastard, and it's from Pepper's Pedals out in New Zealand. And this pedal I actually won during a contest that Peppers was doing with the design for this pedal, and it was, like I said, he did a drawing on it, and I happened to win it, so I won, and I couldn't be more pleased. This thing is fantastic. It is essentially the Green Mad Amp preamp in a box. So if you're not familiar with what a Mad Amp is, Mad Amp and Orange were started as the same company, and so you have obviously the iconic Orange amps. Well, the Green Mad Amp is very similar, and so you've got your volume, you've got your gain. The more is just a big boost on there, and then you have your treble and bass on there. And this thing is great for everything from a very light overdrive all the way through a really fuzzy distortion. It's just an amazing pedal. It can do a lot of different things depending on what you're wanting to use it for. So from there, I'm running to this right here. Okay, so right here we have the Cattle and Bread Dirty Little Secret, and this is a pedal that's based on the Marshall Plexis. It has a switch inside that you can choose between the super lead mode or the super bass mode, depending on which circuits you want to run it with. The super lead obviously gets a little bit dirtier, a little bit brighter and tighter for the guitar sounds. The super bass mode, though, is what I have it running on, and it kind of gives it that lower gain, almost JTM 45-ish, Jimi Hendrix cleanish, dirty Marshall clean channel type sound. And so that actually is sometimes what I use as my bass clean tone. It sounds weird maybe using an overdrive pedal as a clean tone, but it kind of gives it that Marshall clean where it's not really clean, but it's kind of clean. I don't know. I used to run a Marshall, and so I kind of miss that sound, so I use that a lot of times just as just the bass tone. And then from there, I'm running right here into my TC Electronic Spark Mini, and it's just a simple clean boost. It's nothing fancy, but it is just has fantastic results. It has 20 dB of clean gain available. It has a momentary feature where you can just hold down that switch and it'll boost until you take your foot off of it. But it just kind of adds body and shimmer and of course volume, which is great, and that is always on for me. It kind of just puts my amp right at that nice sweet spot where it's about to break up. And then from there, it comes right back into the 4-channel on that noise suppressor. And from there, we go on the output on that noise suppressor to my Matthews Effects Alchemist right here, which is a 2-channel buffer, or you could use it to sum stereo to mono, or vice versa to take mono to stereo. So that's a really cool thing. I'm just using it as a dual buffer, so I'm running a buffer then after all of my drives to my amp, and then from there I'm using it as a 4-cable method back out of the effects send from my PV Classic 20 in front of the little Bugera 112 there, out of the effects loop of that PV, back into the buffer on the other side of the Alchemist there, and from there I'm running into the Boss MD500, which again, there are going to be more episodes on this because this thing is just a beast, and it does all the modulation that you could ever want plus some, and it has some really cool features with it. And so I'm running into that mono. I'm sorry, before the MD500, I'm running into the memory toy from EHX, which is an analog delay, and as you can see there, it has a mod switch to turn that on and off. So it's kind of a really downscaled version of the Memory Man. And so from there into the MD500, and then from the MD500 into the Strymon Timeline, which is kind of the do-it-all delay unit that everyone is familiar with. And then that's kind of cool because you have delay before and after your modulation. And then from there, from the timeline, we're running into the Strymon Big Sky, which has all the reverbs I could ever possibly need. Again, running stereo into that. And then after the Strymon Big Sky, I'm running into the TC Electronic Alter Ego ×4, which is their tape echo emulator. And so again, we have this delay sandwich around my reverb, so I can have my delay before or after my reverb without changing any pedals. And so that's kind of what I've got on there. It's kind of more or less just so I can experiment around with all of the different combinations of pedals. And it's, like I said, it's super messy, but it's super fun. All of that is powered by this Walrus Phoenix power supply, and it handles everything I need to from there. So then I have a couple other pedals I just wanted to throw in there that are not on the board. I've got the classic Ernie Ball volume pedal Junior, which the string broke and I repaired. I have a video on that on the channel. I'm currently borrowing this Monkey Fist fuzz from a friend of mine, and I did a video on that as well. This right here is a very special fuzz pedal that is not going to be on my board, but I have for different studio uses. It is the Voodoo 67 fuzz face, and it has the NK275 transistor germanium fuzz. It's just absolutely fantastic. If you're looking for that Jimi Hendrix tone, look no further. This is that pedal. The reason it's not going to be on my board is simply because with the germanium transistors, it's very, very temperature sensitive, and it has to be biased pretty much every time you're going to use it. And then it also is battery powered only, which is kind of a bummer for me. So you have to have a battery in it in order to use it. And so with that, I may at some point have it modded over to where I can plug a 9-volt in and use it that way. But for those reasons, that's why it's not on my board. Also not on my board currently is my chromatic tuner, which is possibly the oldest pedal that I own. Everyone should have a tuner. This is an old one, it's reliable, it works. So as long as it works, I'll have it. This right here is the Mosky Audio Brown Distortion pedal, which is a blatant ripoff of the Wampler Pinnacle. So you've got a Marshall and a box sound here. And again, we'll do another video on this one later. This one here is a Rocket dual trim from J Rocket, Josh Smith line of pedals. This is an absolutely fantastic dual trim. You have two different sides here with both rate and depth on both, and then an overall boost that you can use. This pedal stopped working a little bit ago. That's why it's no longer on my board. That's the only reason it's no longer on my board. And when it stopped working, that was when I decided to go get the MD500. I will probably get this fixed at some point, and then who knows? Because it's just a great pedal. I'll probably keep it just because. This right here is the Deadbeat Wet Dreams chorus, very inexpensive. Has kind of that classic Boss chorus type sound. Again, we'll have some more on that later. This is the Mosky Silver Horse overdrive. It's a Klon clone. So you've got your treble, output, gain, and then this voice knob that switches between gold and silver mode. It sounded great for the month that it worked, but that's the problem. It only worked for a month, and so that's why that's no longer on my board. But I may or may not get another one, just because this one here is the reverb pedal that is for our giveaway. And so that is another one that I actually won through a K-Line giveaway that they were doing. And so that is also not on my board because I have the Big Sky, and it kind of is silly to have two of those on there. But that is kind of my pedal collection currently. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button and you hit the notification bell so that you get all future episodes as soon as they're uploaded. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week here on Wolf Guitars and Gear.